Today we're back to playing Ethiopia and we are going for Crusader Kings 4 and the Lion King without having to capitulate the allies. Can it be done? Yes it can. 1936, Iron Man mode on with historical AI focuses and start. Now as we all know, Ethiopia starts at war with Italy and this is the first obstacle we have to overcome. If you've played a bit of this by Bloodlone expansion, you'll know how to deal with Italy, but I'll give you a quick recap on what's an easy way to do it. Select the northern units, the northern 14 units, so the ones up here, assign them to a general and set a fallback line here. This should be fine. Manually fall back the units to the positions you want them to take. The remaining units, should be 7 of them, can take on the south and hold these 3 provinces. For the time being, this will be enough, and also manually withdraw these units to their desired positions. In terms of generals, and this is rather important because we will need good generals for what we're about to do, the army of the north can be led by this man. He is a desert fox, which means as soon as we grind Mountaineer on him, he'll be even better. And for the south, that is where our Mountaineer will go. He's a Mountaineer, and he will grind other traits down south. We don't have a Field Marshal yet, but we will soon. In terms of focuses, we're going to start with the Second Italo-Ethiopian War, and we're going to move on to rally around the Emperor. Now, I'll leave a handy flowchart of the initial focuses down in the description below, along with a general outline for this strategy, written up by a very helpful user over on Reddit by the name of Snoop Predictions 5832. This is a wonderful guide, still works, and it's what I based this video on. Go check it out over on the Reddits, give the man some love. And in terms of research, well, we'll want guns and more guns. That'll be the initial assignment. And construction, well, we have one factory. We're not going to be building much, but what we will be building, or at least start building, is a railway connection leading from the province of Gondar back towards our capital. Why? Well, for future purposes. We will need to take Asmara eventually. Asmara has a supply hub, and the sooner we can plug into the supply hub in Asmara, the easier it's going to be to deal with the Italians, obviously. So let's get that railway prepared while we still can. Oh, no factories. In terms of production, guns, and more guns. If you really want to play with light tanks, just go play World of Tanks Blitz. Now, they offer you the chance to take one of over 400 different historical and not so historical vehicles out for a spin on over 30 maps. And for this Spooktober, fun and mysterious adventures await you, like the Secret of the Lost Pyramids event, where you do battle with the Magi and Pharaoh tank guards, or Operation Call of the Folio, where you can get the enchanted Shadow Hunter tank. You can go download the game using my link down below and get it on Android, iOS, Windows, and even the Nintendo Switch and Steam Deck. Plus, if you get it on the Amazon App Store, that's right, Amazon, who is sponsoring this video with the World of Tanks Blitz integration. Look, don't ask me. I just work here. You can save up to 20% on this game and its in-game items when just buying Amazon coins. Better yet, Benevolent Bezos himself is running a giveaway for a $100 Amazon gift card, and you can enter by making an Amazon App Store account and commenting with your username on this video. Now, the game has also recently received a bunch of visual improvements. The Castilla map, for instance, has got a complete visual overhaul, new physically based rendering for all the materials and objects. It's the first map that got the new treatment. Many will follow. Also, foliage has been completely overhauled as well. It's a lot more natural. It even reacts to the blast waves from your cannons and deforms under your tank tracks. But don't take my word for it. Just go download the game using my link down below, and you can get in on this tank-on-tank action. Now, back to the other action. Now, to win the war, I'm not gonna hold your hand. In short, hold these defensive lines for about until, let's see, we get to the focus, expand the Mehal Safari. But I'll tell you when we counterattack. For the defense itself, it's nothing else than moving divisions that are low on org around and playing ping pong with your units. The Italians will wear themselves down, don't worry. It's easy enough if you hold the positions I've outlined. And we're going to set the game to run, and let's get going. Italy immediately attacks. Don't let these units fight, just retreat. We need to set up positions. In the north, once everyone's in position, this is an incredibly easy position to hold, should be fine. The south can be a little bit touch and go every now and then, but again, keep an eye on it. Move divisions into red bubbles if you think you're gonna lose, but overall you should be fine. All right, we have 10 political power. We're gonna make the first pick here. We are going to recall Balcho Sappho from retirement. Yes, it moves the balance of power to the left. and that sounds bad, but we need it to, plus it's a free unit. There we go. Free unit is here. Assign it to the south. Now, what we're going to do with the balance of power is naturally make it move towards the left. On the left, there is an extra decision that's going to pop up once we reach Mesafint in power that gives us a 5% research bonus for the rest of the game. If that's not something you're interested in, completely ignore what I do with the balance of power. I think it's worth it, and I'm going to go for it. We will naturally reach that threshold once we appoint this man, the staunch loyalist. He moves the balance of power 10%, and combined with Balcho Sappho we just hired, we will be well where we need to be. Important event. Italy is going to annex Ausa once they take Makal up there. And there they go. They've taken Ausa. Once they do, the instant they do, move units into the capital of Ausa. It's a mountain tile. It will control the province and give you an extra factory. Plus, it makes for excellent defensive ground. Now, to the south here, we have reached the desired positions. Delete the fallback line, make a normal front line and a battle plan so you can start getting experience towards organizer. And then in north here, we'll do the same as soon as our units reach Ausa. And we've set up shop in Ausa. Let's draw battle lines up there as well. And we continue the defense. As you can tell, I'm not even doing much, and this is all very, very manageable. And we have another 20 political power, which we are going to spend. We are going to become best friends with Tanatuva and Mongolia. They will be our biggest source of guns early game, at least the first 10 months or so. All right, second Italo-Ethiopian war is done. We are now going to rally around the emperor. This is going to give us a free field marshal. That's pretty decent. Now for these events, they pop up every now and then, and there are 3 types. This one offers you a free unit. The other one offers you either a military or a civilian factory. All the events giving you free units, pick the option that moves the balance of power to the left, to the Mequanint side. The unit isn't worth it, and it's much easier to manage your balance of power this way. All right, we're going to start asking for guns. Usually, Tanatuva has a couple to start with. Yeah, 61. Mongolia takes a little while to build up a stockpile for some reason. Yeah, they don't have any. But keep asking every time you can. Just keep asking for guns. You will need them. Now back towards the balance of power. You saw me decline the event to get a free unit. As a result, balance of power moved 1 tick back to the right. I needed to move 1 tick back to the left now. So I'm going to support local rogue development. This is an overall good decision in that it gives you a lot of free infrastructure, but it also moves the balance of power towards the Mesafint side. If you don't get any events that increase the balance of power to the right side, or you've taken an event that moves it to the left, do not support local rogue development. It's going to be annoying moving the balance of power back towards the center. All right, we finished the focus. That gives us this event. We can choose a spirit of the army, or spirit of the academy. Sorry. Personally, I prefer to go with bold attack. Our officers level up very good as offensive generals, and our infantry and irregulars get 10% attack. That's just always good. Defense is honestly worthless, and something could be said for the preparation branch. Planning and logistics in Africa is very valuable. Army experience can be valuable as well. However, we have ways around the supply constraints that the European powers do not, namely through irregular infantry, but more on that later. I recommend going with the top option, attack. And if your defensive efforts have gone well up to this point, these 3 missions should be about to finish, and when they do, we'll have a lot of political power to spend, and spend it we shall. First up, international reputation grows. Great, 150 political power. We're going to use that to hire the staunch loyalist. That moves the balance of power towards where we want it to be. Now we can take this option, localized education reforms. 5% research speed for the rest of the game. That is a no-brainer. Let's click that again. Now this ends up with the Mesafint in power at 45%. To get it back towards the center, all we need to do is increase the power of the Mequanint once, which we're going to do. It's worth losing a little bit stability and political power. And then through our focuses, we should be able to get there. If we're short 5%, we can also hire Viking Tam, who will move the bar 5%. And the Italian offensive has run out, and defense from now on gets even easier, especially if we can get some guns off Mongolia, but no, they still don't have any guns. Just remember to check every now and then. Tanatuva has guns all the time, just Mongolia, sometimes they're slow. Alright, the Emperor stays, and with that political power, we're going to start working on that stability a little bit. We're going to take a hit to stability due to the power of the Mequanint being increased. We're going to improve worker conditions. Now, it sounds awful, losing even more factory output. If you're not making anything, it doesn't matter that you're making less of that thing. We want to train up as many of the Chitat Safari as we can. We just want to get them in the queue so we can deploy them when the time comes. Alright, our leaders are starting to pick up up some levels. The one in the south is already level 4. We're gonna give him infantry expert. The traits this guy absolutely must pick up are infantry expert, adaptable, and improv expert. He'll get them eventually, just pick them up as they become available. As for the north here, we also want to give this guy a couple of traits, but we want to hold off for a little bit. We again want improv expert, adaptable, and infantry expert, but this man, Beyenemirit, will also become a field marshal. Just as a rank, we're actually going to keep him as a general, but making him a field marshal, we can then give him offensive doctrine, which allows us to make him an army offense specialist, and as a result, he will become available in our military high command instead of any of these terrible options. Same for the other military high command. We can put Ayalu Biru there. Let's make him an infantry specialist. There we go. He's now available as an infantry specialist. Infantry attack and defense go up. Always good. All right. This is one of the other events I mentioned earlier. This one gives us some military factory in exchange for 5 stability. We can fix that and 5% on the Mesophint side. Now let's take a look at how we're doing here. We are about to get 5% to the right from this focus. This is the last focus that gives us that in the queue. That would put us at 17%. That would still not be enough, but if we add Viking Tam here, it would put us at 12% and it would be fine. Viking Tam here is not going to be enough on his own if we're also going to take the factory. This is a bit of a downside. So all the way up until you've taken the focus, expand the Mehal Safari, you're going to want to play that balancing act with the balance of power. In any other situation, I would click yes and I would take this option because the extra factory is incredibly valuable. However, I don't have any other realistic options to move the balance of power in time to make up for the difference. It would cost me another 150 political power because I would not only have to hire Viking Tam, I would also have to hire the patroness of the Ethiopian Red Cross here, the Empress Menen Aswaf, or I would have to fire Kasa Haile Darge. Both are not great options. I could fire Kasa Haile Darge. It would cost me a total of 150 political power to hire him back after doing the focus, or I do the easy thing and I just hire Viking Tam and ignore the extra factory here. So with learning from the enemy finished, we can now get volunteers. This gives us a decent amount of manpower, mostly guns, about 2,000 infantry equipment. That combined with all the lend-lease we're getting should see us equip all the units in the field. And we're gonna then start pumping out as many of these Chitet Safari as we can, preferably all of them. But as soon as the units in the field are equipped, these guys are actually gonna start getting equipment and we will force deploy them as soon as they are ready. Just if they have one gun between them, it doesn't matter. Force deploy them. We want all of them in the field. Super under-equipped. Doesn't matter. We just want them deployed before we finish the focus, expand the Mehal Safari. Now, further political power can be spent in a variety of ways, but I recommend, and you absolutely have to, get war economy before the war ends. You have to get extensive conscription before the war ends. Ideally, after you get those two, you want to hire the Minister of Finance here, Yilma Deresa, and we also want a Chief of the Army, but none of these guys. We want to take our northern general, Beyenemirit, and we're going to promote him to field marshal. Doesn't matter, he can stay where he is. He remains as a general, but by promoting him to field marshal, we can now give him offensive doctrine. Again, this does nothing, but it will allow us to give him the officer corps role, Chief of the Army, Army Offense Specialist. And having done that, we can hire him for our military staff. He's now an extra option here, and it will give us the Army Offense Specialist. And as he gets more levels up, because he will keep fighting Italians and other people, this is just gonna get better. So I'm gonna hire him now. He's only going to improve with age. My next PP will be spent on war economy. As soon as I get rid of the Chitet, I'm gonna go up to limited conscription and then extensive, and we can hire the Minister of Finance after that. All right, we've got the volunteers. That means, yes, we just got 2,000 extra infantry equipment. That will be very, very valuable for the north. We're gonna do a little change now. We're gonna change the equipment priority of the Chitet to high and medium for reinforcements. We want these units deployed. We need them in the field before we finish the next focus. Expand the Mehal Safari. That is going to be our main goal. And we're going to keep asking for guns. Our dear friends in the Comintern will have to send us a lot of guns. All right, we've dispatched the first bunch of extra Chitets. We're going to force deploy the next as soon as we can, but I'm going to slow the game down a little bit because from this point onwards, I want to go on the offensive. I see opportunities here. As you can tell, the Italians are pretty pretty weak in the north, and we're going to exploit that. And we will exploit that by attacking them. We want to attack them here and create encirclements to destroy their units and rush the ports. The ports are in Kismayo and Mogadishu. Is go for an encirclement of the center by attacking the north, attacking the south, and then meeting in the middle. Okay, so we've broken through. We've created an encirclement. It's not the biggest one, but it will have to do. Make pinning attacks wherever possible and rush into the gaps. See if we can't reach the ports. Ideally, we can take the port of Mogadishu, cut off everything in the north, and crush that. All right, Haile Selassie expanded. Fortunately, we have all of our Chitet here deployed because we cannot train any new ones. They are now locked out. So if any of them die, we cannot replace them. So we have to keep that into account. However, the ones that are already in the field don't disappear. Next up, renewed offensive. Make us even stronger while we bring the Italians to their knees. In terms of research, I'm going with improved machine tools and dispersed industry. You can tell the Italians are starting to die off here. We should be able to take the southern port soon. The north here is going to be a little bit of a different story, but oh, they stopped attacking. Yeah, we should be able to push them out as well. And that would secure the entire south. We're going to then reorganize and do the same to the northern Italian army. Shouldn't be too difficult. There we go. We've taken the port here. Now, once you've taken a port, leave at least 2 irregular infantry behind to guard it, because Italy loves to naval invade. Everybody else, move to clean this up. And then once we're done in the south, we relocate the army to the north. All right, we have our renewed offensive in. More offensive bonuses. Very good, very nice. Now, before we move on to the northern thrust, we're going to take a little sidetrack here. We're going to develop Showa and get some infrastructure projects. All right, looks like, yes, we've taken the southern port as well. We can easily mop that up now. With our relations with Germany boosted, let's see if they have any guns for us. Of course they do, quite a few guns. A little note here regarding the balance of power. Now that we have the focus we needed, expand the Haile Selassie, balance of power doesn't matter as much. Of course, the bonuses here still apply, so don't swing too far in one direction. But if you get events now, you can take all the military and civilian factories you want from the events, provided the other negative penalties don't hurt you too much. That's going to be up to you, depending on your run, because we want to get as many generals ready for the fight that is to come as possible. So we're going to take Nasibu here, a Hills fighter, and we're going to put him in command of the northern army. That way, he can also get a little bit of juicy experience going here. The southern general is level 5 on his way to level 6. He should be able to reach level 6 before the war ends. Right, 150 political power. Let's take a look here. We are losing a lot of manpower because we've gone down to volunteer only with the Chitet disappearing. So either we go to war economy now and limited conscription after, or we take limited conscription first and then go to war economy. Doesn't matter, just make sure to actually take both before the war ends. Extensive conscription here, war economy here. I'm gonna go with limited first to limit my manpower losses a little bit. Besides, going to war economy is not gonna do all that much for my economy, really. Oh, look at this. The Italian army is about to disappear. Sad times, Mussolini. Sad times. All right, the south is secure. We're now gonna take this army, move it over to the north, and together, by our forces combined, we should be able to overrun the Italians. The important thing we want here is to retake the province of Tigray so we can continue along our focus tree. Very important. And we have to take the tile of Asmara. Of course, the port would be great because that keeps the Italians out completely, but taking Asmara gives us control of Eritrea. Plus, it has a supply hub and will allow us to keep fighting in the north to deal with whatever Italy sends in. If we hold just Asmara and Tigray plus what we already took, by the time we hit Fait Accompli, I forgot where it is, Fait Accompli here, that will still make Italy give over Eritrea to us. We don't have to take the port if it becomes too difficult. We just need to make sure we have Asmara. All right, speaking of Italy, Italians offer peace. Never accept this. We do not accept it. We have other means to get a peace deal. And once you've pushed in, you want to keep pushing. Never let them take a breath. More German guns are incoming. That should help us fix our deficit. All right, infrastructure projects done. Next step, northern thrust, and get the Italians out of our country once and for all. All right, the northern thrust has begun. We focus our attacks on Aksum and Asmara. Of course, make sure not to overextend yourself while doing so. In terms of focuses, we are now going for lessons of war. This one can only be done during the Italo-Ethiopian War, so want to do this before the war ends. Definitely great bonuses. After that, we are going to grab expanding the railway network and connecting the south. Now, to get expanded expanding the railway network, we need to control all of our own states. So to get to that focus, we need to retake Tigray. Now with all the bonuses we've been getting, plus the weakness of the Italian army, and they're only going to get worse as time progresses, that should not be too difficult. Just look at them. Look at these units melt. That is literally melting. And we're gonna keep building that railway. That is a priority now. That railway line is our lifeblood. Local lord offers... I wish they would just give me factories. No, I don't need your shitty units. Well, they're actually good units, but I'd rather have the political power at this point. Again, plug this thing into that supply hub and everything is going to be gravy. We are now occupying quite a bit of Italian land, Eritrea and Somaliland. Make sure you're devoting some garrisons. Set things to local police force at least, and make sure garrisons have a high priority. You're gonna have a bad time if you neglect your garrisons. Well, it looks like we might actually be able to push the Italians out if I can keep this offensive going. All right, some pinning attacks to make sure they can't reinforce the port, and maybe, just maybe, we have this. If we don't, again, it's fine. Well, we've taken the port. We've bottled up the entire Italian army in northern Eritrea. We're gonna kill them at will. But first, let's make sure we leave a garrison of 2 units behind on the port. Italy will naval invade, and then we'll kill them whenever we feel like it. And we've now essentially won. I'm gonna withdraw the army towards Addis Ababa. We're gonna leave 2 units on every port. 2 of these Chitet Sefari. We're not gonna recruit any new units. We're just gonna provide garrison equipment so the areas don't rise up against us, and we're going to take a couple more focuses. We're going to finish Lessons of War, expanding the railway network, connecting the south, and then we're going to go towards Fait Accompli. So I'm going to cut all of that out, and I'll rejoin you guys when we hit Fait Accompli. And there we go. Benito Mussolini has decided to surrender. Now, this gives us a white peace with Italy. They fuck off, and we get all of it, and now we can continue. Now, I am 70 days behind the timing, because instead of starting a fresh new run, I loaded an autosave, stopped doing Fait Accompli, and restarted it to give the AI a reason to recalculate its decisions, and this time they said yes. So there is a lot of RNG involved. There's a 20% chance of the AI saying no to your offer of peace. It is what it is. We're back on track now. In terms of political power, I've only spent some PP now to get the Compagnie Impériale, whatever this is, because we will be building quite a few railways, and the other ones are miles off. In terms of research, I've just researched support equipment. I'm gonna grab trucks next. I'm working on artillery. I'm gonna start a little bit of production. So I'm gonna start making trains because I will need trains. I'm gonna keep making guns. Actually, I'm gonna stop making trains. I'm gonna start by making guns. We will need a lot of guns. We will then add production of trains. We will need some. Add production of support equipment. Again, we will need some. And artillery. And that's pretty much all we're gonna make, except for also trucks. And with the Federal Empire done, we have completely shattered our nation. Every little province has broken away into its own little thing. The Italian territories like Somaliland and Eritrea get the basic focus tree. This is a very powerful tree. This is a lot of factories they'll give us. All the other states get an equally, if not more powerful tree. There's factories in here, there's extra units in here. Overall, the sooner we can get these guys to do their focus tree, the stronger they become. And in return, we also become stronger. Why? Well, if we go towards the focus, develop the Horn of Africa, we get a bunch of decisions allowing us to reintegrate all of these countries without having to use the puppet mechanics. There is 2 more territories in the Horn of Africa that we would very much like. French Somaliland and British Somaliland. The easiest way to get that is to either buy the French territory of Djibouti by uniting the Afar, but can't do that because we've Balkanized. So instead, we're going to support anti-colonialist resistance. What this is going to do is allow us to mess with these territories. Essentially, we're going to spark rebellion here and rebellion there, and then use those decisions we get from the Horn of Africa to integrate the territories into our own state. Should be fine, should work just fine. These on-map decisions have appeared, like in my earlier video of the Lion King, and we're gonna start by supporting anti-French resistance and then anti-British resistance. And after the first decision is done, you get a second decision here to arm the resistance we just created. Don't do this yet. Wait until resistance here has ticked up to at least 60%, and then send the guns. That should see the territory rise up. Again, I outlined this in my earlier video where I did the Lion King. Watch that if you want to see the exact mechanics, but it's overall fairly simple. So I'm going to sit here while my country improves. I'm going to be producing infantry equipment, trains, support equipment, artillery, and some trucks. And I will see you in about a year or two, maybe 3. While we wait for that, we are going to start improving all of these. We can take the couple of decisions that improve the country. Just don't take the final and most expensive one that reintegrates the province. This is also why we saved up all that political power, because this can get pretty expensive. Okay, the French are getting their teeth kicked in, and we want French Somaliland to rise up before this flips to Vichy for reasons that I don't want to go into. It involves factions, axes, guarantees. Just trust me, make sure they are still regular French. So we are going to send them guns, and in 7 days they're going to rise up. The British are also almost there, so as soon as the French have risen up, we're going to send guns to the British as well and get all of this for ourselves. There we go. Sultanate of Hausa has risen up against the French. Hurrah! Now we're going to send gun to the British, and we're going to start taking those decisions. And now there's also a decision to improve the Horn of Africa for the Sultanate of Hausa that just popped up, so we're going to go through the motions here as well. We should do 4 of these, and we can integrate this state and eventually the British state as well. And there goes the Somali Sultanate. See, now these two are independent, and we can use these decisions to slowly gobble them up as well. Perfect. They have a couple of troops, so they shouldn't fall to naval invasions too quickly. Of course, that's all if and or, so it's entirely possible that they get naval invaded. We're going to start spending some points on the Grand Battle Plan Doctrine. Why? This is simply the best. It has so much supply consumption reduction, playing perfectly into our hand, and it allows us to naval invade without actually needing naval invasion tech. Alright, little update. I have annexed Eritrea and Somaliland because the countries had run through the generic focus trees. You know the ones. They've gotten all the factories that I was going to get out of it, so I decided to just integrate the territories. I'm still waiting for the rest of these puppets to slowly work their way through the focus trees. A couple of them have gotten the good stuff. Some factories here, some are getting national resources, others are recruiting more troops and getting military factories. And because we're going all out for Grand Battle Plan, I've also gotten tip of the spear, and we will start preparing for a naval invasion of Yemen. Alright, it's now late 1941. We have restored the Empire of Aksum. We have our claim on Yemen. Gonna justify. Takes 65 days. Nobody's gonna guarantee them, mostly because we haven't generated any world tension and we're non-aligned. So this should be fine. Nobody's gonna come and help them. I'm gonna hit them hard on Sana with 5 units, just regular infantry. My usual template. We'll change these out later for something with even more bite, but not yet. And we're gonna use 2 mountaineers as our tip of the spear. Heavy hitters. Hopefully we can blast Sana and the tile next to Sana, and that should see Yemen capitulate. I'm actually going to add some more support artillery. I've gobbled up several of my smaller provinces, and I'm just keeping a lookout on which of these are still going to be useful. I'm going to let this one probably do 1 more and see what the next one is, and if the next one isn't particularly valuable, I'm going to integrate it. Same for Afar. They're now getting an extra civilian factory, which is great. I'll integrate them as well, and these are just, they're all probably close to being ready for integration. Now, those naval invasions are ongoing. I've just deleted their orders. I'm going to set up a new one from Massawa into the tile above Sana. That has just been opened up. The unit moved out to defend Sana. As soon as it becomes available, I am going to hit them again. More naval invasions are always a good thing. Essentially, this is just going to ease the way for me to get in there in case this naval invasion doesn't reach the desired effect. So once we land in the south here, immediately move half to support the attack on Sana and half to move to the tile to the north and then attack there. Just keep your troops from getting encircled. Hurrah! Great news. Simply take all states. We're done. So, having eaten all of our former subjects, that has given us, let's see, 10 regular infantry divisions. They're not terrible, not great. 24 Chitat Safari divisions, so these are all irregulars. Can't change the template, but I mean, this is functional for defense. And another 14 of these guys. So, all in all, a fair number of troops, a very good amount of civilian factories. This is spicy, and a very respectable amount of military factories. Ethiopia is now a power to be reckoned with. Not only that, I can get more cores now that we control all of this by unifying the Horn of Africa. This will give us a lot of extra cores and a lot of extra claims. But not only that, because we already conquered Yemen, we can now also restore the Aksumite Empire, giving us more cores, and more claims. Now, don't take this option. Move the capital to Aksum will lock you out of moving your capital to Jerusalem, which we need for the achievement. So do not move the capital to Aksum. So the Field Marshal Order is covering most of the south. The General Order is covering most of the north, and we're going to try a blitz campaign. I will focus on taking out the local supply hubs, creating encirclements, and pushing towards the narrow terrain of southern Egypt, and from there up along the river as I move from railway to railway, supply hub to supply hub, until we get to Alexandria and the Suez. And we are ready to go to war. We're going to declare this war. To the north, we should be able to attack quite aggressively. My goal, like I said, is the supply hubs in the region. That is what we will be aiming to take first and foremost. Push them back from where and whence they came. Supply hubs, ports, whatever. Over here, if we can take this port and push the rest of the British units up to the border here and crush them, that'll be great. To the south here, we're going to exploit the fact that there's still nobody here and try to make our way to Mombasa. Push in, push in, push in wherever we can. Attack the British. They should be relatively weak, all things considering. We are going to be pushing up to the major river here, and that is as far as we'll go in the west. We can push a little bit further south and a lot further north, but as far as the west goes, we're not pushing into Kurdufan or Bar al-Ghazal or whatever. We're just going to take the provinces Upper Nile, Blue Nile, and then up through Khartoum. To the south here, we can take Garissa, Nairobi, and pretty much everything up to the Belgian border and down into the Portuguese territory. Fun fact, we can now join the Axis. This is generally a good idea as we can beg for lend-lease, and when we do, one downside is the AI is going to start sending a lot of troops down south. That is helpful, yes, but it is going to weaken their own fronts. What I usually do is I don't want any German troops here. I don't want any Axis miners in the region. I just turn off allied supply in all of my home territory just so the AI leaves me alone. Might have an opportunity here. Let's push south. Might not be entirely feasible, but we'll see. These guys have also finished cleaning up in Yemen. They will join the southern front line, and everything's looking good. I'm still training more troops. These will reinforce both the port guards and the main front line. I can train even more units should I so choose. I have plenty of manpower, plenty of equipment. I am lacking a little bit of artillery, but we can always ramp up production and we can improve our trade. Let's ask for some stuff here. All right, so quick little status update. We are continuously rolling back enemy troops, getting encirclements wherever we can, mostly because we are supply gods with all of our bonuses, both from the Grand Assault Doctrine, the logistical focus, and just the traditional warfare buffs. All in all, we are really good considering that we don't even have the best unit available to us. Very, very sad. But we are winning in the north. We're slowly pushing up towards Alexandria. We're going to set up a defensive front with about 2, maybe 3 units on El Alamein, and then focus our full attack towards taking Palestine and, well, whatever Free France has in the region up here. To the south, no real reason to continue the attack. We would very much like to take Tanganyika, but as you can see, the defense here has hardened on the British side, but we can wait. We can dig in and hold. They will not be able to break us. We have supply on our side. Our units are good. Our units are entrenched. And to the north here, these guys are all just bleeding away very valuable allied supply. So my southern front line is simply going to hold. I'm going to keep training a couple more units. I'm going to keep reinforcing it. And to the north here, once we've taken Palestine and pushed our way into Syria as well, we'll link up with Turkey and Iraq. That will allow us to actually do some proper trading again, and all is well with the world. We are doing very well. We can do even better by going to total mobilization and women in the workforce as soon as I have the required political power. We've taken... no, we're about to take it, but they're annoyingly consistently reinforcing the region here. We should be close to taking the Suez Canal, though. When we do, we will have sufficient amounts of dominance in the region. Gonna set up about a couple units here to defend that, and then I'm gonna wipe out the east. No, wait, the west, and then we can concentrate on pushing across the Suez Canal. Oh yeah, that cuts off this entire section. They have no port, and I should be able to wipe that out easily, and then it's just going to be a matter of pushing the troops in Alexandria back out into sea. Oh, look at all these divisions disappear. Feels good. This, again, a bunch of divisions about to disappear. Once we've cleaned those pockets, we're going to make a final drive towards the Holy Land. We'll reclaim Palestine and the rest of the territory, and the next stage of our strategy will be revealed. All right, we now control Palestine, and I will now tell you how we are going to conquer and control Palestine. Look at this. It has 50 compliance already. Haile Selassie has the daily compliance gain boost that is enormous. All we have to do is hold on to the province of Palestine long enough for it to tick up to 90 compliance. When it reaches 90 compliance, we will be able to install a new regime, a collaboration government. That collaboration government, we can then annex using our subject mechanics to eat them. So far we've achieved the lion that roared by defeating Italy in the Second Italo-Ethiopian War. We've got the Lion King by controlling Tanganyika, Mombasa, Nairobi, and the Nyanza Rift Valley, just the region in the south here. And we are primed and ready for Crusader Kings 4 as soon as we can do the puppet cheese. There we go. The Provisional Government of Palestine. They have our blessing. So they set up shop here. What we're going to do now is build a bunch of stuff in their territory as soon as we can. So every little thing we can build here, all the infrastructure, all the airfields, all the naval bases, just build a bunch of stuff in their land and they will definitely start liking you. We'll just bring them down here until we can reduce their autonomy level to annexed. Maybe I could just send them all of my convoys actually. With Palestine set up, we're gonna start the one true heir of Solomon, and in 70 days everything will be just gravy. I think I'm just gonna send them a bunch of lend-lease. Yeah, I'm gonna send them all of my convoys and that should be enough to tip them over the edge, and we can annex them. We have plenty of political power anyway. Start lend-lease, send them all of our convoys. We'll get all of those back anyway. All right, we can integrate Aksumite Palestine, and when we do this, we will technically not only control but own the territory. I don't know if this is by design, but it does work. So that is them out of the way, and now we just need to wait for the focus to finish, and we will have Crusader Kings 4 done. All right, one true heir of Solomon done. Let's go and see what that gives us. The expansion of the Aksumite Empire has two more options. One, form the Empire of Solomon. This adds cores to pretty much all of Egypt. More cores, more manpower, more everything. The Empire of Solomon is established, and we can now make Jerusalem the capital of the empire. And with that done, Jerusalem is the capital of the Solomon Empire. The Empire of Solomon is the dominant force in Africa, and we are a very valuable member to the Axis. You can continue this campaign if you want to. You can take the rest of the continent. You can go bail out Germany. I could probably support them with a hefty lend-lease as well, but we're done here. That is 3 Ethiopian achievements done, but more importantly, we have shown that this teeny tiny, weak and backwards country can become an absolute powerhouse if the focus is used right. Once again, big thank you to Reddit user SnoopPredictions5832 for his excellent work on the Reddit post guide. I'll leave a link again down below, and I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys had fun watching. See ya.